What's up, Zach here, and today I've got the all-new Nike Zegama Hike, and it is no secret, I love the Nike Zegama, the trail running version of it, the original, and all versions of it, from the 1 to 2 of the ACG, I absolutely love. But I was equally as skeptical on the Zegama Hike, because although the Zoom X setup in the Zegamas, the stack, just the geometry of them, I thought was great for trail running and just casual, everyday, daily driver wear. I didn't know how stable it would be for the actual rigors of hiking, for what these were advertised to do. And I wasn't sure if the Zegama Hike was maybe just a thought experiment from Nike because they've been doing so much ACG stuff, or maybe just a little bit of a gimmick. So I had a trip to the Pacific Northwest coming up for a week that I was going to be going through North Cascades and Mount Rainier National Park. So I decided to bring the Zegama Hike with me and put them through all conditions. It got pretty interesting. Let's get into it. All right, so starting off in the uppers, the first thing you'll notice is the cuff on these things around the ankle is just basically for debris protection. That thing, when you cinch the laces down, it kind of just covers your ankle so stuff can't get in there like little rocks and pebbles, which does work really well. The problem with it is, though, is that these boots don't come up all that high. They're more of a lower mid. I mean, between the Zegama and the Zegama Trail, it's not that much. You do get the runner's knot in there, which is really nice. And because they have such a stable base to them, it's not that big of a deal. But if you are looking for a little bit of a higher boot, for a little more stability, being able to, just kind of cinch down around your ankle, this isn't it. Stick with whatever you've got or get something that goes a little bit higher, because these do feel like a true mid. Now, the good part about that is it allows a lot of degrees of freedom. They move incredibly well. They're incredibly comfortable. There is zero break into these things. I actually did not break them in at all. I just started hiking in them right away. No blistering, no hot spots, no nothing. My wife had a huge blister on the back of her heel day one. I had zero, so that was awesome. So, I mean, in terms of like the walkability, the hikeability of them, they're just super flowing, really, really nice and easy. Heel slippage on these, pretty much none as long as you use the runner's knot. I didn't even use the runner's knot. I didn't notice anything. Like I said, zero hot spots whatsoever. The next thing, are they waterproof? I would say that they are water resistant, put it that way. So in terms of like quote unquote all conditions gear, that claim is a little bit dubious at best. I was able to put them in a stream for, I don't know, maybe like 30, 40 seconds before I could start to feel the water in there. Now, coincidentally, I had a pair of Salomon XT casual shoes on, which aren't even meant for hiking or anything. And those stayed waterproof, no problem, for at least a few minutes while I was in the water, while the water was kind of lapping on me. Really no problem whatsoever. However, the Zegamas do breathe really well for a hiking boot or a hiking shoe, whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of calling it a hybrid hiking boot. And as you can see on the inside of the uppers of the Zegama Hike, yeah, there's a ton of padding, a lot of breathing channel, especially from the inside to the outside. Every layer does have breathing. You can see on the breathability, there is fog getting out of the forefoot of this. It's obviously breathable, but with that comes, it's not impervious to water either. So here's what I'll say. Comfort in the uppers, 10 out of 10. Zero break-in. Walkability, 10 out of 10. They're fantastic. Honestly, even hikeability in the uppers was really good. It's just that if you're looking for that more secure lockdown of a high boot, this just isn't it. Just adjust your expectations. And I would say if you're looking for something that is waterproof and is not going to let any snow or water in your boot, then either have gaiters or something on there or something like that, or look somewhere else. In that aspect, they're much more of a comfort first upper versus a legit, literal all conditions upper. But getting into the midsole teardown of these things, surprisingly, it's a giant bed of Zoom X. And that's why I was so skeptical of these things for actual hiking, especially because, remember, in the uppers, they don't come up all that high. I mean, they're more of kind of like a true mid, like once you take the shroud down, like I said. And so I was really skeptical that just some Zoom X cased with a little bit of rubber back and forth would really be stable enough for super uneven and slippery terrain. And that does come some to the outsole treads we'll talk about in a second. And if you look at the tensiometer, it only takes 41 newtons to get this thing to 45 degrees. It looks like a tank, but it does bend pretty smooth at the metatarsals as well as at the toes here. So it bends appropriately. And then torsionally, it's nice. I mean, there's got a little bit of flexibility there, but all that casing of rubber around it really does help. And if you look at the bounce height test, and those, like I said before, it is just a whole bed of Zoom X. There is more carrier on this than some other models. Obviously, it's got to be cased more. It is more of a hiking shoe, so there is more carrier foam. Look at the bounce height test though. 42 centimeters in the rear foot, 45 in the forefoot. So it's pretty much a same Zoom X setup, right? It's a pretty elastic, bouncy foam. But just the one thing you gotta be aware of is you look at the outside, you got rubber, carrier, Zoom X. It's the exact same on the inside. You got rubber, carrier, and then Zoom X. It's a lot. I mean, 3.1 centimeters up off the ground. Even though the drop is low, you still are pretty high up there. It's just that, we'll talk about in the fit section, the shaping of these things, the ergonomics kind of negates any issues that at least I have with being up that high.
Because remember, stability in a shoe isn't just the tread, it's the midsole too. The midsole has to stay stable as well. And so, Zoom X can be a little bit temperamental. It's lightweight, super bouncy, but I'm thinking, is this thing going to be just super wobbly? I'm not going to be able to do anything in this. Am I just going to be just trying to stabilize the shoe while I'm hiking? And the interesting thing about the Zoom X was you actually put it to the test in actual hiking conditions when you're off camber on uneven terrain, is that you don't get as much shock in the hip, in the knee, and the calf. The only shock, or I said the only soreness I got, was in my tibialis anterior, which is basically your shin muscle on the front part. That's what that meaty part of the front part of your lower leg. What I noticed with that is at Mount Rainier at the very bottom, they pave all the trails. So they're really unforgiving, and they're also super steep. And so when you're coming down a little bit faster and smacking your foot down, that's where I noticed all the shock. Now, my wife was in a pair of Keens, and they have a little more traditional foam, like more EVA type traditional foam. And she was having IT band pain, calf pain, thigh pain afterwards, like soreness afterwards. And with me, it was literally only just the tib band. It really wasn't that bad. So it is interesting where the Zoom X will transmit the shock. Now, some of that's probably where I have more strength than she does, and, where she has more strength than me, in different areas. But a lot of it has to do with that foam and where the shoes are sending the shock. But I will say with that Zoom X, I was absolutely blown away at how stable it can be in this situation, even though, like I said, the shoe doesn't, to me, look like a traditional, really stable hiking shoe. Now, a lot of it has to do with the shaping of it, which we'll get to in a minute. But suffice to say, for just an entire bed of Zoom X encased in rubber with no shank, that's another thing. But I was blown away at how well it did on not just kind of walking on trails, just kind of milling around, but actually getting into more of some of the more technical aspects of hiking, different terrain, different areas, different grips, and different types of earth beneath my feet.
Now, the outsole tread on the Zegama Hike, pretty much the same as the Zegama. Giant chevron pattern. It's a full length tread pattern. But the thing that is the best part of these shoes, as well as just the regular Zegamas, are the dimples on both sides of the chevrons. Now, if you're just wearing these around, you're not really going to notice those, but that little bit of extra grip goes a long way in either loose or wet or just uneven terrain, giving you just a little bit more confidence in stuff like this where it can get a little bit hairy. So yeah, if you're just, like I said, wearing these around just to kick around in or just for the sake of wearing them, no, you're not going to notice that. But in a situation like this, it's really nice to have. All right, but in terms of the fit of the Zegama Hike, I am very happy to report it is exactly the same as the Zegama, or the ACG Zegama, with one caveat. I'll get to that in a second. Now, number one, 10 centimeters of toe box, or 10 centimeters, I'm sorry, of metatarsal width or midfoot width, and then 10.2 of toe box width. So you're gaining 2 millimeters into the toe box, and the taper in the toe box is only 31 degrees. So these are much more of an anatomic toe box. Your toes are able to splay to kingdom come. You can grab so much traction. Just the feel in these things over a lot of other hiking boots is so much better. It's just, the engineering they did to make these feel so tactile while being kind of big and rugged is just awesome. They may have stumbled upon it, but it was awesome. Now, the caveat to these is it has a wider heel versus the Zegama, which was 9.2 centimeters. These ones are obviously a little bit bigger. Obviously, you just got a bigger, you just got a bigger rubber footprint on them, which you do need because because it is just Zoom X and you want to case that with a lot of rubber. So in terms of fit, exactly the same as the Zegama. Now, if you're someone that wants to take these maybe a little bit more technical, a narrow foot, you might want to go down a half size in these just to be able to get, more of a glove-like fit on these, a little more traction. A medium, if you're putting orthotics in here, I'd say just go true to size. A 2E, go true to size. A medium can go down 1/2 size if you want. You might be buttoned up against the shoe. They do run just a hair long, so it's not a big deal. I think it depends. If you're using these for more casual hiking, a medium can just go true to size. If you're trying to get a little bit more technical, I probably would go down 1/2. Unless you're putting an orthotic in there, then just go true. 2E true to size with being able to get that more anatomic toe box. You can see Nike does know how to do it, and they do it in the Zegama line. That anatomic toe box just gives you so much. It allows you to be stable on the ground, right? The shoe's not doing it for you. It just allows you to do it. And so just like the ACG Zegama, in terms of a hiking shoe, if you want one, more of an anatomic toe box, more of the trappings of kind of a just, more modern shoe, this is out of this world. All right, in terms of who these are good for, flat, neutral, and high arched feet, whether you overpronate or oversupinate, they're just fine. Ankle sprainers, surprised at how good they were, more just the shaping of them. Plantar fasciitis, yeah, I think they're fine. Achilles tendonitis, I think they're fine. Forefoot pain, I think they're fine. Arch pain, yes, they are fine. Big toe arthritis, I mean, you need your orthotic of choice in there, but they're fine. Knee and back pain, no problems. The nice thing about these is they're big enough on the inside. They have a large enough footprint on the inside that you can fit really any orthotic you want in there. You can fit an ankle brace in there if you want. You can really fit whatever in there. It's got such a nice volume in the shoe that even if, like I said, plantar fasciitis, you can throw an orthotic, Achilles, forefoot pain, arch pain. Like I said, you can throw an orthotic in there for all of them. So once again, for where they miss in some areas, they do make up for it in the versatility of what they can do in terms of different foot ailments for sure.
So the question is, would I buy these for hiking again? I think for low risk situations and low temperature variations, I think they're fantastic. Especially if you're doing things like a lot of walking and hiking, they're great because they can do both so easily. You can wear them through the airport, you can wear them on pavement, and then you can go hiking in them. In terms of different terrain, they're fantastic. That is great. But it's like, just being in a little bit of cold water for just a little bit, and not like submerging the boot either in that water, just literally having it lap on my shoe and starting to get, pretty darn cold. And I really wanted to test them more out in snow. However, the passes up to where we were going to be hiking, where there was snow, are all closed because of the wildfires. I'm not sure you can see it here, kind of the smog in some of these images, in some of these videos, but it is pretty smoky in a lot of areas. So that was a little disappointing, but like I said, if my shoes or if my feet were cold and wet after 30, 40 seconds in water, what do you think is going to happen in snow? So yes, I think for what they are, they're absolutely fantastic. I'd say more low risk situations, low variations of climate. I would say they're great. Like things like this, like going out to the national parks for a couple weeks with your family, kind of doing different things, kind of a variety of different trails and hikes. They're great. Don't expect to summit up to 14,000 feet in them though. That's just not what they are. There's just way too many comfort features and things like that. Way too many creature comforts of this shoe for it to be more of like a true, I guess I would say, yeah, all conditions boot. The kind of things I'm doing these days, 100% I would buy them again. You just got to know what they're good for, kind of what their intended use is. And as long as you have the expectations, the right expectations of them, you're going to absolutely love them. Like I said, just don't expect them to replace a more high cut waterproof boot. So let me hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you do want to see the older sibling to the Zegama Hike, the ACG Zegama, which is one of my all-time favorite shoes, make sure you click into this video right here. And if you want to check out what I think are the best orthotics on the market right now. So if you also decide to come out here for a couple weeks and hike around and be on your feet all day, your feet are not on fire, make sure you click into this video right here. I'll see you in the next one.